youngest son was a baby. They can't go to the nursery until they're older, and he was such a rambunctious little boy. He kept me in the foyer most of the time, probably a God thing. And so I kind of stopped going. I kept sending my children, and I baptized them when they were 8. We did the confirmation. We kind of did each step of the way. The marriage continued to just get worse and worse and worse. And finally, I made the decision, spiritually, emotionally, physically, to leave. So I took my children and we left. And rented this little house, and love grows big in little houses. And we band together as a family. And first thing I did is go straight back to the LDS Church. I was so hungry. I had such a big hole inside of me, and I just knew somewhere in there that would fill me. So I continued to go, and I met a good LDS man, and we started to date. My children adored him. We soon after started dating, got engaged, and then got married, and went to the LDS Church, and decided we would go to the temple, be a forever family. So that was kind of our journey. That's where we were headed. We built a house here in Ephraim. We had 7 children together, and needed someplace big enough for everybody. And during that time, I had some questions. He had some questions. He had been on a mission. He served a mission to Guam, and he was married previously. Also had 4 children, and they were sealed in the temple. So he had some questions. I had some questions, and he started to search, and started to come back with answers that I didn't really want to hear. I wasn't very receptive to the answers I got. I seen my dreams that just crumbled before me. This dream that I had was crumbling, and it was really, really, really hard for me. And he was secretly seeing Chip. He was sneaking over to the college house and talking to Chip, and had gotten some anti-Mormon literature and hid it in my house, and would wait till I left and watch videos and read material. And I wasn't very supportive. He kind of had to go through that journey by himself, because I wasn't ready to hear what he had to tell me. He tried several times and was met with much resistance. One is for us to tell him that he was certainly being led by Satan, that couldn't be from God. And he bought himself a cross and would wear it inside of his shirt. And I was sitting on the couch in my bedroom one day, and he leaned over to kiss me, and his cross fell out. I certainly thought it was going to sear a hole through my eyes. And I couldn't scrunch away from him enough, and I couldn't slump enough away, and he's thinking, what's wrong with you? And then it hits him. And he's like, oh, my cross. So that was a very memorable day in our house. So he one day lured me to the college house. Coffee was my weakness, and yes, I was a Mormon coffee drinker. And he said, we're on our way to Walmart. He said, do you want to go for coffee? I said, sure. He said, some of these questions you have on the sacrament and baptism, he said, maybe Chip will be there and you can ask him. I'm like, okay, whatever. So we go in, Chip's working, and I get a coffee, and he said, is there anything you want to ask him? And it wasn't very nice to Chip. Not at all. This was, he, to me, was playing a part in destroying my dreams. And I said, so, do you guys serve sacrament? He said, well, we call it communion, and yes, we do. It's grape juice and unleavened bread, and we do have communion. I said, so what's your take on baptism? He said, well, it's not necessary for salvation. That was profound for me. I thought, how could that not be necessary for salvation? went against everything I'd been taught from the time I was very, very small. So I was done with Chip. I said, okay, thank you. And I head for the door. I want to leave. I'm going now. And Steve's stalling. He's talking to Chip. And like Chip says, you know, the women are having a retreat. That's nice. I said, you should go. I said, oh, I should not. I said, you know, let me call my wife Jamie. You would adore her. No, don't call anybody. Well, I don't know if she called or he called, but Jamie's on the phone, and I'm on the phone with Jamie. And if any of you know Jamie, she is bubbly, she is happy, nothing phases her. And so here she's talking to this scared, cold woman on the phone, and she's trying to say, you should come. And again, I'm saying, I should not. She said, I would love to meet you. Stay there. I swear, like, I couldn't hang up the phone before she walks through the door. There's Jamie, and she has her chandelier earrings and this big smile. Like, oh, my goodness. She said, please come. And I'm saying, no. You know, we have all 7 children. My husband not helping at all. Says, I will take them. I said, all 7? All 7. I will take them. You should go. I said, I should not. One thing leads to another. We don't go to Walmart. We go home, where he proceeds to pack my bag. Do you want this? Do you want this? And I said, I'm not going. He said, no, I think you are. I said, please, Steve, don't make me go. He said, Mitz, please, just give it a chance. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. It's a God thing. I'm in la-la land. I take my bag, he drops me off at the college house, kisses me and says, have a good time. Next thing I know, I am driving a minivan, which, no, I don't drive minivans, up the freeway, and it's chock clear full of Christian chicks. And I'm thinking, God, what am I doing? Why am I here? What are you doing? Well, he doesn't bother to inform his wife that everything's different. He doesn't bother to tell me what worship is. He doesn't bother to tell me how you pray. He doesn't bother to tell me that people fall to their knees and raise their hands. So it's culture shock at its best. I felt like I had been dumped off onto another planet. First meeting we go, it's worship. There's 2 girls pounding on the guitar. People are hands in the air. One girl falls to her knees. I'm doing this. I think she needs medical attention. Why is she on her knees? Okay? And then they're praying, and they're talking to God. Like, you can hear them. Like, they're talking, not leaving a message on his answering machine. They're talking to God. And in my mind, I am praying for them. God, forgive them. They know not what they do. To me, it was irreverent. It was irreverence at its best. It was culture shock. They're praying and I'm doing this. Okay? I'm just not okay. Into this, I kind of fall apart. I go out to the courtyard outside the conference room and I have a breakdown and I call my husband. Where he proceeds to say, you know, honey, I'm so sorry. He said, I should have warned you. I said, yeah, that would have been nice. That would have been great. He said, it's okay. Different is okay. I said, they were irreverent. They're not respectful to God. There's no reverence there. This is not okay. And he said, do you want me to come get you? Oh, I have a way out. Okay, I'm a tough girl. If it gets weirder than this, I'll have him come get me. I said, you know, I'll try to stick it out. Well, I'm glad I did. I met some wonderful friends. We stayed out, played games in our pajamas till 2. Slept with the pastor's wife. Thanks for she said she didn't sleep a week. She stayed awake all night praying for me. The next day was more worship, and I'm singing now and singing and singing and singing, and it starts to feel a little bit not so offensive. And so I come home, and one of Jamie's friends who didn't know that I was LDS said, so we'll see you in church in the morning. And I said, oh, no, you won't. She said, okay. Well, it was nice meeting you. Same. Steve comes and gets me, and I don't really say anything for 3 days. I didn't know what to say. I was overwhelmed. I was confused. I didn't really know what to say. It took about 3 days before I could really express my feelings and what I was going through. My children knew I went scrapbooking, which we did some scrapbooking. They thought I went with the Mormon women. Well, they found my package, and my oldest daughter's looking through it, and they didn't know that we had been really searching anything. They knew we'd spent a lot of time in our room. They knew Mom was mad a lot. They didn't really know what was going on. And she said, "This is kind of weird, Mom." She goes, "Where did you go?" And I said, "I told you." And she's like, "Where?" She just wasn't making sense to her. And I said, it wasn't Mormon women that I went with. She goes, "Well, who did you go with?" I said, "They were some Christians." She says, "Well, we're Christians." And I said, "Well, they're just Christians. They only study the Bible." And I went with them, and she's like, "Did you have fun?" And I said, "It was different. It was different." So we kind of let it go at that. And I continued to go to the Mormon church, and my sweet husband continued to follow me. Started to carry his Bible into the LDS Church. People would look at him very strangely, and I just knew that I would find Jesus there. It was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Of course, I was going to find Jesus there. And we had now gone for 2 years religiously every Sunday, and the reality of things that he had told me really started to sink in. And I really started to get that feel that Christ didn't dwell in that place, that he wasn't there. And to prove him wrong, I just said, "Pray, please teach me about Jesus, please." Didn't happen. They would teach, and he would find scriptures and slide them across to me and point at them, and I would angrily read them and slide his Bible back, and I didn't really want to hear, and it was really, really hard. Finally, one day, he had reached his wit's end and just kind of put his foot down as my husband and spiritual leader and just said, "I'm alone in this. You sent me for answers. I'm sorry, it's not what you want to hear. You need to listen to me. I need a friend. I need somebody to talk to. And you're all I have." And that really struck a chord in me, because I did trust him. There was something in me that he knew the truth. I was just so deeply, deeply afraid of that. So I said, "Okay, go, I'll hear all you got." And I sat down, and he was able to just dump and just tell me everything that he had researched and everything that he had found. His degree is in anthropology and archaeology. So a lot of it was evidence, archaeology evidence. Big for me was the lies about Joseph Smith that they told me, and the lack of truth. The fact that he was married to 33 women, and they always had taught that it was Brigham Young that brought polygamy into the church. That was profound for me. The fact that those women were married to other men at the same time was very profound. That was not okay with me. And the fact that some of those girls were 14 years old. I had a 14-year-old daughter, and that was really, really not okay with me. And so those were just some really profound things that really made a difference for me. And so he had bought a book for us. John Hagee and his wife had written it. It was what every man wants in a woman, what every woman wants in a man. And I'm thinking, that is just cheesy. I'm not reading that. Well, he took me fishing, and he fished, and I read out loud, and that was life-altering for me. That was what a profound book, because it made me realize that I really did have a godly man in God's eyes. Not in the LDS Church's eyes, but in God's eyes. And that I really might be on the right track here. So we didn't know how to tell our children. We have 7 children, and that was huge. I ran ambulance for 15 years. I teach EMTs. So I have a kind of a dark sense of humor, kind of a gallows humor. Find humor in things that aren't really very funny. So my kids we joke about everything. Even when they're in trouble, we're laughing about it. So I had stopped. I just said, I come home from the LDS Church on one Sunday and just said, I can't go back. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where we're going to go from here, but I can't go back there. And we wanted to be absolutely sure, of course, before we told the kids, and we watched a couple more of the videos and read some more stuff and started to read the Bible. And as the scales fell from my eyes, it was like an entirely different book. Because as a LDS person, you're taught, not to trust the Bible. That's not been translated correctly, meaning it's incomplete, it lacks, and the real truth is found only in the Book of Mormon. Started in the Book of John. And that is such a beautiful book. And so one Sunday, it's 11 o'clock, and I'm in my pajamas still, and we're not going to church, and my two oldest daughters are just wondering what's up. They're really confused and don't know what's going on. They're sitting at my counter, and one's eating cereal, and the other one's just by her. And the oldest says, "Mom, what is going on? Why aren't we going to church?" And I didn't, for lack of anything better to say, I said, I don't know what Joseph Smith was doing in the forest exactly, but I think he may have been smoking bark. The girl with her mouthful of cereal says, "Huh?" And the oldest is just looking at me, and they look at each other, and they're like, "Okay, Mom is crazy. Mom's lost it." So they digest this for a second, and my oldest daughter says, "So, is what you're telling me is you don't think Joseph Smith's a prophet of God?" I said, "That's what I'm telling you." They're like, is this why you've been so mad? Is this what you've been doing in your room?" And we said, "Yeah, this is what we've been doing. We wanted to really study it out before we told you." And they're like, "So now what?" I said, "We don't know. We don't know." We kind of had church as a family that day. We prayed together, and we watched. They're really smart girls. We watched DNA versus the Book of Mormon, and that was good for them. They're like, they kind of started to get it, and they were much more receptive than I thought. Of course, they had the fears. What do we do with school? What do we do with our friends? What do we do? And I told them, we had all those fears as well. The following Sunday, we came here, and thank God for the fellowship here. What a wonderful place. We were met with open arms. Just couldn't have been any more. Just so much love here. And we've made some wonderful, wonderful friends, and it's made the journey much, much easier, much, much better. We bought them new Bibles, and there was a Christian youth trip down to whitewater raft on the Colorado River, and I talked him into going, and what a God thing. Praise God for that. So they got to hang out with Christian kids from everywhere, and really got a taste for it, because they feel really kind of alone here. Their youth group's very small. They really didn't know any other Christians at the time, and those kids were just amazing with my kids. My children come home on fire. They both accepted Jesus while they were gone. They were just on fire for the Lord. It was just amazing to me. And they became my inspiration. And I thought, you know what? If they can do it, if they can go up against their friends, if they can be strong, I can certainly do it. And that's kind of how we ended up from point A to point B. And it's funny as I look back. I've been through a lot. I suffered a lot of loss. My dad died. I've lost my dad. I lost a daughter when she was a baby. 2 nieces, 2 of my brothers, and I really thought, because I wasn't doing everything that the church outlined, which who could, that he had forsaken me. And looking back, he didn't forsake me, but I had definitely forsaken him. I wasn't recognizing the sound of his voice. How much easier all those things would have been for me if I had just reached out and let him comfort me. But, so we're here now, and that's how I ended up here. I've seen it for the pageant for 28 years, 8 times a year, you know, been in it, my children's been in it. If you get a chance to share the gospel, so good, but if you can plant those seeds, God will water them. And don't get discouraged, because you may think that they have the plasma shield around them, but those little seeds of doubt will grow. God will sow those seeds.
Amen.
So, you know, something that was profound for me is, you know, if it is the one true church on earth, and just reassure them, nothing that I'm going to say to you will change that. If it is the one true church, nothing I'm going to say to you is going to change that. There's a little bit of a challenge in it, but it also gives them the reassurance that they can really listen to what you have to say. And it divides families, and it's a painful process. You know, I get 3 or 4 emails a day from family members just pound, and they've been convinced we're in outer darkness, we're apostates. You know, my business, I have a salon, my business has suffered. The Mormons will no longer come because they're afraid what I'm going to say to them. And, you know, it's a tough journey. Worth the journey, but it's tough. It is tough.
Mitz, are you placing your trust only and completely in Jesus Christ for your salvation? Based on your profession of faith in Jesus Christ, I now baptize you in the name of the one true God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.